Women's rights activists are facing down the notion this week, as Amy Coney Barrett's nomination to the Supreme Court moves through the Senate, of having a woman on the High Court who will almost certainly work to roll back women's rights. Positioning herself as a so-called originalist, she's pushing a view of the Constitution that explicitly leaves women out. If you only interpret the Constitution exactly as it was originally written, many Americans, including women, would have few to no rights today. Republicans' push to jam Judge Barrett's nomination through the Senate comes as the anniversary of both the Me Too movement and the Women's March converge. Both movements focused on supporting survivors and protecting women's rights. Just another reminder of how much further we have to go. With me now, Tarana Burke, the founder of the Me Too movement. Tarana, you started using this expression back in 2006. In 2011, it went, maybe it was later than that, it went viral. No, in fact, it was just 3 years ago that it really went viral. Right. But you tweeted on October 15th, the third anniversary of that. I've often been struck by some folks' willingness and commitment to misunderstand this movement. While there are those who want to make it about something evil and adversarial, we have always been clear that this is a movement that is about two things: healing and action. By your own definition of this, Tarana, where are we today?
Well, by my own definition, we still have a long way to go. And I mean, I think this current confirmation hearing is a big indication of that. I think people are willfully misinterpreting this movement, but also are willfully standing in the way of progress. And, you know, I think progress will ultimately win, but we have so much more work to do.
I have met so many people, men, who I think in general would think that they're not sexist or they're not misogynist, but they see this movement as evil and adversarial and targeting of them, as opposed to being able to say, what have I done in my life that I didn't think to be bad, but that lived off the structures that held women down? That is something you have talked to me about. Others have talked to, and so many of us as men have said, whatever we thought we were doing right then may not have been right, and now we can really be allies. Do you feel that there's been a lot of movement on that front?
Not enough. I mean, there's this new statue that was unveiled in New York downtown, the Medusa loading the head of I forgot who, Perseus, you know, and I talked about it last night online because it sends a clear message of like violence and revenge, and it flies in the face of everything that we have tried to say about this movement, that it's not about those things. It's about survivors having voice, coming forward, and standing in solidarity.
Yeah, you've never spoken in those terms, but let's talk about the action part of it, the healing and the action.
Yeah.
Since Me Too went viral, only Illinois, Maryland, New York, and Vermont have been able to pass the most basic and crucial reform, ensuring that low-paid gig workers, domestic workers, home health care workers, and other workers who work for smaller employers or as independent contractors have legal protections against workplace harassment. It's a really big deal because if you have a boss who can be shamed in the media, who works in finance or in media or in entertainment or is high profile, you may be able to get somewhere with this. But for most women, they don't.
Right. And that's part of the problem. This movement is really about most people. It's not about the people who make the most money and have the highest profiles, right? Because they also have the most resources. It's about the people who have the least resources and least access to any kind of recourse when they experience these things. So we need dramatic changes in our laws, but we also need dramatic culture shift, because there's also still, rape culture is still a thing, and it's still this idea that is built upon rape culture, which creates the opportunity for violence to happen. So we have a lot of work to do to dismantle those things for the average person.
And we're not going to get all that work done in 17 days, but in 17 days, real work can be done. How do you connect people's vote to changing this?
Similar to, you just said this in the previous segment, or the guy just said this in the previous segment, it's one of the last things that we have control of in this country. And people can say with their voices, you know, that we want a change. We initiated something called Me Too Voter and Survivors Vote, because people think of us as just a group of people who need help. But we are a constituency. Survivors cross every demographic, every political stance, everything that you can think of. And we are people who live in communities that want them to be safer. And so in 17 days, my hope is that survivors will come out and say, we don't want a person with the reputation of this man and the history that he's had over the last several years in office anymore. And they will vote according to that.
Do it if you're a survivor. Do it if you're a woman. Do it if you're an ally. Tarana, thank you so much for how much smarter you've made me and all of us. Tarana Burke is the founder of the Me Too movement.
Hey there, I'm Chris Hayes from MSNBC. Thanks for watching MSNBC on YouTube. If you want to keep up to date with the videos we're putting out, you can click subscribe just below me or click over on this list to see lots of other great videos.